Hey, what is up guys? You got Kotab here, and I know I've been kind of quiet lately on this channel, but Crew 2 is coming out soon. We found out today at Gamescom that the release date is in March 16th I think it is. I will definitely be playing the beta. I already have signed up for it. I've already gotten a confirmation email from Ubisoft saying, yeah, we're gonna put you up to the top of the list because, you know, you have like 2 months of game time into this game, so you're probably gonna be one that's pretty good for testing this game. So this is going to be my list of things that I'm hoping that they change in the crew and add to the crew too. This is not a super in-depth detailed list because I could go like more in detailed with subcategories on these things that I've mentioned, but without further ado, let's just get into it. All right. Number one, I hope that they have more car variety. The crew had a lot of European cars, like a ton of European cars, and they had also quite a bit of American cars. Now, I am fine with these cars. I just really want to see more Japanese cars. Or Asian cars in general, you know. But you know, besides from that, I'd like to see some cars from other countries that, you know, wouldn't really think about, like Australia, for example. You know, seeing some things like Holdens and stuff like that. Some of the Fords that are exclusively made over there. That'd be cool to see, like a Ford Falcon, some Utes, stuff like that. You know, kind of take the page out of Forza Horizon 3, which was based in Australia, but, you know, still take some Australian cars and bring them to America. I think that'd be cool. Also things like Spanish cars, Mexican cars, stuff like that, you know. Some weird things that people don't think of. You know, I think this is one thing that Forza does awesome, is they have such a variety of cars. And there's a lot of them that, you know, are fan favorites, but they're not things that you would initially think of when you're thinking of cars that you want to be in a game. So, you know, I just hope that we get a little more variety in the cars instead of just all American and European cars. So, next thing I want is an expanded map. So far from what we've seen from gameplay and the screenshot of the overworld map is, it looks exactly the same as the Crew one, which is kind of depressing. I would really like to have some new areas. You know, if they could add Europe, I think that would be awesome, because there is going to be Formula 1 in this game, and Formula 1 is huge over in Europe, and I think that adding Europe would have a good opportunity to add a bunch of tracks that we wouldn't have just in America. Also Hawaii. Now I could be wrong on the information here because I've heard so many different things, but this game was allegedly made by the same people who made Test Drive Unlimited 2, which means that they already kind of have a map made for Hawaii from Test Drive Unlimited 1 and 2. I'm not sure if this information is completely true, because I heard that it was just like 1 or 2 people that moved to Ivory Tower. It wasn't like the whole team, so I'm not entirely sure. But, you know, some expansions on the map would be awesome, or, you know, even just adding things into the map that already exist. You know, like there's a distinct lack of some of the big cities such as Atlanta, San Diego, stuff like that, and I think those would be great additions to the crew. Next thing kind of goes in hand with the bigger map, and that's more things to do in the overworld. Now, the crew one has some things that you can do in the overworld, but you know, most of the things, you know, take you out of the overworld, put you in a race, or put you in like a lobby, or, you know, the summit, stuff like that. And then in the overworld, there's not much to do besides just cruise around. And, you know, you can do the skill things, but that's only really useful for upgrading your cars. You know, there's not much variety besides that. I would like to see some things, you know, some exploration things. You know, maybe if you find certain things on the map and you, like, break them, you know, like signs or billboards, you know, stuff like Need for Speed and Forza Horizon have done. I think that it would, promote a lot more exploring and actually give you something to do rather than just driving around. Also, on top of that, I would like to see a little less freedom with the fast traveling. I think that would make the game a little bit better for driving around. Because in the Crew you could just literally fast travel anywhere and anywhere. You didn't have to go to a specific landmark or anything like that. You could just pick a spot, fast travel to it. And I think that made the game kind of boring. You didn't really have to drive anywhere. So if they made it so that way you had to go to like a specific spot to fast travel, or you had to pay to fast travel, I think that would make it a little bit cooler but more annoying at the same time. I don't know, I feel like that would be something that's cool at first but would get annoying over time. Maybe once you got to like max level you could just buy a perk that made fast traveling free. I think that'd be kind of cool. Next thing is customization. Now, the Crew did a pretty decent job with customization. I like the way that they did it, but basically the customization was good. I would just like to see little tweaks. More parts that you could put on your car. A little bit more customization. Like for example, if you have a wing, having an option to raise or lower it would be awesome. Changing rim size, that would be awesome. Changing rim colors, that would be awesome. And but the two biggest things that I want is, one, custom vinyls. I'm fine with the vinyl system that the way that it is now in the Crew, but if you could just pick the colors, that would make it immensely better. But if you actually had a proper vinyl editor like the Need for Speed games have, or the more modern ones anyway, and Forza have, that would just blow the Crew up and make it insane, especially with how good the photo mode is in the Crew. I think an actual vinyl editor would be outstanding. And then the other thing that I want, and this is kind of from a competitive standpoint, because I did play this game kind of competitively. The race that you're watching in the background right now was kind of a joke race. I had a hangover and I was playing, so don't take that one as me, how my skill level is. But I used to be like pretty damn good at this game. I played it a lot and I was really into it. But I would love to see performance tuning. Changing the tire pressure, lowering your car, stiffness, camber, stuff like that. I think that would make the game a lot better in terms of balancing, because you could take cars that are initially bad, maybe cars that have a lot of wheel spin, and you can just say, fuck it, I'm gonna lower the tire pressure so it has a ton more grip, and all of a sudden the car that was initially bad is all of a sudden actually pretty decent. So that's something that I would love to see. Now that we're out of the topic of customization, there's a couple things that I would like to see in terms of the coding and stuff like that. Number one is the netcode. The Crew 1 had an insane amount of lag. In fact, I was just playing last night with my friend, and he ran into me probably 10 times within the span of just an hour or two playing. But on his screen he didn't hit me, but on my screen it spun me out and rammed into me really fast and stuff, and I don't know why. I don't understand why they don't fix the netcode and make it better, because there's so much lag, it's insane. Even if you do PvP races, you could be 20 feet ahead of someone, cross the finish line, and still lose the race. It's ridiculous. It's very bad. So I'd love to see better netcode to make the races actually a little more closer visual wise, and so that way you don't get teleport rammed, because that happens a lot, and that's why I always turn collisions off in this game. If the lag was a lot better, so people didn't teleport in front of you and ram into you without affecting them at all, me turning collisions on would actually be a thing. But because the lag is so bad, I'm forced to turn it off, and that makes racing not quite as enjoyable. Another thing is the physics in this game are just absolutely atrocious. I love this game. I get a good laugh out of sometimes when silly things happen. as you know, I've shown in my quote-unquote better physics montage, or improved physics montage. But you know, sometimes it's just irritating. You know, when you're having a really close race with someone and you're really into it, and say you accidentally step out just slightly, you step out of line just a little bit, and you know, the front of your car taps the guardrail, and all of a sudden the guardrail grabs your car, you're stuck inside this wall, it stops you completely in your tracks, 0 miles an hour, and then you lose the race because of it. That's happened a lot to me. Or just, you know, you're driving around and, you know, maybe you hit a bump in the road, or you go over a little jump, and all of a sudden your car just instantly wrecks and resets you. That happens a lot too. And I'd really like to see them fix these things, because the physics are bad, the hitboxes are atrocious. I mean, the traffic cars are like 5 times the size as what they actually look like. It's pretty bad. So I'd like to see that fixed. And the last thing that I would like to see changed, and this is something that actually only changed with Wild Run, and before it was actually, you know, the way that I think it should have been, and that's making hardcore driving assists and sport assists actually worth it. Now, if you don't know what that means, basically in this game there are 3 driving assists: all driving assists, sport, and hardcore. And depending on which one you have on, it'll turn off certain things like traction control, stability control, and anti-lock brakes, stuff like that. Basically, if you move it up to sport, your car becomes a little bit harder to drive. And if you move it up to hardcore, it becomes a little bit more harder to drive. So the difference between hardcore and all driving assist is pretty drastic. Your car becomes a lot harder to control, it slides out a lot more, and with all driving assist, your car will kind of center itself into a lane in the road, and it'll kind of tug itself back into that lane to avoid you accidentally driving off the road. Now that's fine and all, but with the coming of Wild Run, they changed some of the way that it works, that with hardcore and all driving assist, hardcore no longer gives you a better steering angle, which means that basically your turning circle and your ability to go around corners is basically exactly the same with all of them. Just the only difference is with hardcore and sport, it's harder, it's more difficult. Your car will step out and spin up a lot more. But you know, if you control it, you know, you'll find no difference in lap times or time trial times as you would with all driving assist. And to me, I think that's a little bullshit. I think if you are driving your car with more difficulty, like with having all driving assists on, I think you should be rewarded for that. I think you know, if you can control your car in hardcore, proving that you're a skilled driver, you should be rewarded, and I think it should actually make you go faster. That's the way it was when the game first came out. Hardcore was you know, around the Laguna Seca track, it was probably about 3 or 4 seconds faster to run hardcore than it was to run all driving assists. And in my opinion, I think that's the way it should be. Unfortunately, it's not, and they changed it so that way there's basically no difference in lap time. The only difference is your car is harder to control, which I don't like. I don't think that's right. So I really would like to see them change that. So that concludes my list for things that I would like to see change in The Crew 2. There's you know, a lot more things. You know, I could go into detail on what cars I'm specifically hoping for. You know, some of the PvP events that I'm hoping for, things like that. But you know, other than that, I think that's about it. So thank you for watching. Let me know what you guys are hoping for in The Crew 2. I'm really interested to see, and subscribe to my channel if you are wanting to see a lot of The Crew 2, because when the beta comes out, I'm going to be playing the shit out of that. I'm probably going to be doing some live streams, and you know, stay tuned for a lot of the crew too. I'm really excited for this game. I'm really hoping that you know, it's better than the first game, which is going to be hard to do because I loved the first game. I played it so much. But thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and as always, I'll see you guys later.